This session, we're going to start with some practices that can be done kneeling or seated. So I'm kneeling, but if you'd be happier sitting, bearing in mind we're going to be doing quite a bit of kneeling, if you know that your knees might struggle with that, you can sit on a chair, on the edge of your settee, on the floor. Make yourself comfortable. And also, before we start, actually, let me draw your attention to a few interesting things about my setup this evening. So I have put my mat in the corner of the room, and that was very deliberate and intentional because the name that I've given this session is Safe and Sound. So I'm thinking of ways that I can really create for myself in my practice a feeling of safety. And there's something about just being in the corner that can feel really safe. So no one's going to come into the room and walk across my mat. I've got these very firm walls either side of me, and I've put them out right into the corner. And for the practice we're going to do today, that works. I don't need lots of space around me. It's not the be all and end all if you can't set your space up like this, but if you are able to, if it works in your house that you can put your mat against a wall or in a corner, you might like that. Another option that works quite well, if you've got a big settee and you put your mat right behind the settee, so it's sort of contained, and a boundary around your practice space. Another thing you might already have noticed is I've got a lot of stuff gathered around me. So I've got two regular pillows from my bed here, quite a stack of blankets. I happen to have lots of blankets, but big towels works just as well. I have a pair of warm socks ready for our relaxation. And I also have a cushion, and I want to tell you a little bit about this cushion because, again, it speaks to our theme of safety, feeling safe and sound. Any old cushion will do for the physical function that we need it for. But this cushion for me is a special one because it was a gift from my grandmother. And my grandmother is one of the people that I feel most safe and most comfortable with. So this cushion reminds me of her. And to have something like this with me on my mat in my practice is another way that I can create a feeling of safety. So again, if you've got special blankets or cushions or cuddly toys or things that just make you feel safe, that remind you of people that make you feel safe, you can gather them in. And it's a bit like making a little nest for the practice. So it's not just about the yoga, it's also about the environment, creating a safe nesting environment to do this practice in. So once you've got everything that you need gathered around you, we'll sit and get settled. So I'm going to sound my bell. So welcoming in the sound of the bell focuses our attention a little on our sense of hearing, what we can hear. So I'd like to invite you, if you're willing, to let your eyes close and pay attention to what you can hear where you are. The sounds around your home, or the sounds just outside your window. Listen for the furthest away sound. And now listen for the sound of your own breath. And you might like to have a little yawn or a sigh. A releasing breath, a noisy breath. And now pay attention to what you can feel, touch sensation. So the position that you're in, feeling what you're sitting on, or what you're kneeling on, or what you're standing on. The texture of your clothes against your skin. And if you have a spare blanket or cushion or something handy to you that you could just pull in and pull over your lap. Again, texture, touch, weight can help us feel more grounded, more settled, and more safe. Welcome the touch sensation of your breath. Maybe have a nice deep breath in through your nostrils. Could be cooler on the inhalation and warmer on the exhalation. What can you smell? And lick your lips. Any taste sensations inside your mouth. And see if it might be nice to let your eyes close, or if not, just leave them softly open. Aware of your ability to see. And connecting with the senses in this way. What can I hear? What can I feel? What can I smell, taste, and see? It's part of what is often called grounding. It's a way of being truly present to where we are and what's going on. So I'd like you now to try a breath that goes like this. You breathe in through your nose, if that's possible, and you breathe out through your mouth like you're blowing through a straw. So try it a few times, breathing in through the nose or through the mouth, and breathing out through the lips, as if you were blowing through a straw. To be honest with you, it's not so much the inhale that matters, it's this exhaling through the soft lips. And the lips really are very soft, so we're not kind of really tensing the mouth, just lips soft. Blowing out through the gently parted lips. You might like to lick your lips. And then it's easier to feel the touch of the air as it flows through. So let's add some movement. Inhaling, taking your arms out in a big circle. And exhaling, bringing the arms back around. We'll do a few like that. You might have a sensation like you were creating a little bubble around you. Continuing the exhaling through the gently pursed lips, if that feels nice. So this session is for you. Which means you only have to do things that feel nice. And then leave your hands resting down on your lap again. What that technique does is usually makes the exhalation a little bit longer, so the exhale lasts longer, it gets softer and slower. Another way to lengthen the exhale is to hum. So we're just going to practice humming without any movements to begin with, just to get the feel for it. I literally just mean humming. So try it a couple of times. If it doesn't feel like a good thing to do, you don't have to do it. And if you're quite enjoying that, we're going to add some movements. So inhale, take the arms wide, like the fingers lightly touch above your head. So the exhale and the hum draws the hands down the midline into the center of the chest. If you like that. Using the hum now to connect with our sense of centering in. One more time. And then we're going to take the blankets that we've put on our laps and put them down on the mats. So we got some padding to kneel up on. Moving on now to a little kneeling sequence which starts, I want to move my blanket, starts like this, kneeling up. And I do recommend putting extra padding for your knees, more than just a regular yoga mat for this sequence. It might be worth watching one round before we all get going with this. There's a couple of key things that make this sequence more enjoyable. And the first one is to do with the tops of your feet. So you might want to just catch hold of one foot and kind of cradle it so you can feel that you can push the top of that foot into your hand. You could try it with the other foot. So you have the power to push down with the tops of your feet. You can tap them on the floor now and have a sense that you can push down through your toes, through the tops of your feet. So I'm going to be asking you to do that, actually not till the very end of the sequence, but I just wanted to make sure everyone knows what I mean by the tops of their feet. It's like where your shoelaces would be if you were wearing trainers. So pushing through the tops of the feet is one of the things we're going to want to be able to do. The other thing is to do with folding forward. So we're going to be coming into a forward bend. Just watch this one. We'll start by raising the arms and then fold forwards. When you fold forwards, you must let your hips move backwards. So my arms are moving down. Yes, I'm folding forwards, but in order to do that, I must let my hips come backwards. And then I can come down and fold forwards. If I don't do that, what happens is I just feel very uncomfortable and feel like I'm going to fall over. So we'll fold down, come to a flat back position, and then optionally a downward facing dog. Anyone that doesn't want to practice downward facing dog, you can fast track to the next practice, which will then be a cat pose. And then to come up, same thing, you've got to let your hips come back a little towards your heels, push down into the tops of the feet, and lift the hips and arms up. And then we'll lower the arms. Okay, so it's simple and not so simple. There's a couple of things to watch for. So let's try it now with that straw breathing. So we're going to be exhaling through the gently parted lips. Or just normal breathing. But if you like the straw breathing, we're going to try this sequence, exhaling through the gently parted lips. So when you're ready, we'll breathe in. And then with your breath out, fold forwards, letting your hips come back all the way down. Reach your hands out, slide them out in front of you, and inhale, come up to a flat back all fours position. Curl your toes under, and exhaling, lift the hips, come into the downward facing dog. Inhaling, lower your knees. You can lift your head, uncurl your toes, ready to press down in the tops of the feet. We're going to exhale, arching the back, let the hips sink back towards the heels, and then inhale, push into the tops of the feet so that you come up. And exhale, lower the arms. So same thing again, only this time, if you're willing, we're going to do the exhales with a hum. So it's hard for me to hum and talk at the same time, so I'll just do it along with you. And then let your breathing settle when you finish, normal breathing. And then step 1 foot forward. So you're going to be in what I think of as the will you marry me position. Will you please marry me? So 1 foot forward. If this position doesn't work for you, then repeat exactly what we just did. Stay on both knees and repeat the same thing again. Otherwise, we've got 1 foot forward, and it can be quite wide. It doesn't have to be in the middle of the mat. It can be to the side a little bit. Because once again, we're going to be folding forwards to the floor. And sometimes it's nice to make the floor a bit higher. So if you want to have a yoga block or some books or something to rest your hands on, that can work quite well. And then starting with the arms by your sides, with either the blowing out through the straw, exhale, or the humming, we're going to inhale and then fold forwards. Inhale, you lift your head and lunge forward a little bit. You can gaze forwards. Exhale, rock back. Tuck your chin, let your back really round. Inhale, rock forwards. And exhale, rock back again. And push off with your back foot to help you come all the way back to upright. Bring the hands together and down into the center. Then rest the arm that corresponds with this forward knee lightly on the knee. And we're going to make 3 big circles with the other arm. And you can go inhaling up and over, exhaling down and under. Just normal breathing, just to mobilize the shoulder a little bit. And another sense of maybe creating a kind of lovely bubble around yourself as you practice. Maybe 3 isn't quite enough. I feel like doing another. And then we're going to come back to upright, hands in the center of the chest. And back onto both knees. So now a symmetrical version of the sequence. With the long exhale breathing of your choice. the toes. Place your other foot forward. Get yourself nice and settled, steady and stable. And when you're ready, it's inhaling, reach the arms up. And exhaling, folding down. Inhale, lunge forward, lift your head. Like coming up for air, ready to exhale and retreat back. Really rounding your back. Inhale, lunging forward, coming back up again. Coming out of your bubble. One more time back again. And then all the way back to upright. And hands down the center. Let your breath settle. And we're going to make those lovely shoulder circles. So the arm corresponding with the front knee rests lightly. It is light, you're not collapsing onto it, just lightly. And the other arm makes a lovely soft shoulder circle. So it's not so much a stretch as something very elegant and soft. Keep your elbow a little bit bent. If you like, join your thumb and your little finger, so it feels very dainty. Just with natural breathing. Like maybe you were drawing a rainbow over your head. Or just something sprinkling lovely fresh water over you. Something like that. Something light and fresh and sprinkly. And then back to hands in the center of the chest, back onto both knees. And one more time through the symmetrical version, both knees of this little sequence, which hopefully is starting to feel more familiar. So starting with your arms by your sides. Breathe in and reach up. Long exhale. Greet the earth underneath you. Slide the hands forward, lift the head. Curl your toes, lift your hips. Lowering your knees, get ready to really round your back. Draw your hips back towards your heels. Push down into the tops of your feet to inhale, inhale up. And be at ease and let your breath settle. So we're going to move on now to setting up a position for relaxation that I think is possibly the most protective. So when we lie on our backs on the floor in the kind of traditional relaxation pose, Shavasana, it leaves the front of our body very exposed and very open. And although hopefully we're all in a very safe place and no one's going to come and kind of stab you or anything like that, actually you might live in a house with small children that might well going to be come and stand on your stomach. Or sometimes just that posture of lying on your back very open like that can feel too exposing. So I really like this alternative, a side-lying alternative, to when I really feel I need a sensation of being very protected and very safe. It also happens to be really good for your digestion, because your stomach's on the left side, and for your circulation, with your heart being on the left side. So there are lots of benefits. I want to show you some little tips and tricks for making it really, really special. So the first being that, having put my mat next to the wall, I can take one of my pillows and also put that up next to the wall. Now, if you've got a settee, and you can do this behind the settee, but you can also do this pose on the settee. It's about the best thing that a settee is designed for, to lie on your side on it. But you can see here, I'm kind of making a settee on my yoga mat. So I'm putting a pillow against the wall, and that's for me to lie against. So I can put my back right in against the wall. When I lie down, we're going to lie on the left side, by the way. Unless, of course, you've got a big injury on your left hip, or some other reason that makes lying on your left side just not comfortable, in which case it's perfectly fine to lie on your right side. But we're preferencing the left side if possible, because of the stomach and the heart being on the left side. We're going to need plenty of padding to put under our heads. So you could use a couple of blankets, or a cushion, or a few cushions, or I'm going to do a little triple gem of a book, or you could use a yoga block, a folded blanket, and my special cushion. I'm going to put them all together, so it's really quite a big, high prop to put under the head. It needs to fill the space from the side of your neck all the way to the edge of your shoulder. So it's much fatter than your pillow would be if you were going to lie on your back. So before I do anything else, another thing to mention, we have a head start because we put the blanket to pad our knees when we were doing the kneeling sequence. Leave that on your mat, so you've got padding for your left side from your hip to your shoulder. So the mat's a little bit more padded than it would be otherwise. So we've got padding, pillow at the wall, plenty of padding for the head. If you haven't already done so, get your warm socks on. So it is very difficult to relax with cold feet. So we're going to make quite a point of keeping our feet warm, putting on our warm socks. And another thing that's really rather nice to do and gives a feeling of security and comfort and safety is to take a blanket or a scarf or something that you've got, that you could wrap around you before you even lie down. So you're going to put on a little bit of extra clothing around your middle. So this middle part of our body, this is the most important part. This is where all our vital organs are. So we're going to keep the middle of the body really nice and warm as well. Okay, now one of the things that can happen when we lie on our side is, let me show you this with no props. I mean, not no props, I've got lots of props, but the knees. So when we lie on the side, the top leg, the top thigh bone in particular, is slanting from the hip down towards the knee. So I don't know if you can see that very well on me, but there's a downward slope. And what I want to do is put padding between my knees and my ankles, so that actually this is more or less level. The knee and the hip are more or less level. And the thigh bone, the heavy femur, is neutral in the hip socket. And over the course of a long relaxation, it's fine for a couple of minutes, but over the course of a long relaxation, that makes a huge difference, keeping the pelvis more stable. So I'm using here 2 blankets between the knees and the ankles. You can use blankets or towels. You can use a yoga bolster if you have one. You can use pillows from your couch. You're creative. You'll find something to pad between the knees and the ankles, keep the pelvis stable. And for good measure, I'd recommend then putting an extra blanket over your feet, extra warmth in your feet. How are we doing? I've still got 1 blanket left, so I'm going to use that to make a support for my hand, I think, for my wrist. So you've got all this set up, and hopefully you've still got a spare pillow. You're going to need that as well. So you've got all of this set up, and you lie down on your side, and you wriggle back against your cushion, against the wall. You've got something that's got your back, safety at your back. You pull your cushions in under your head. And this arm, the left arm, might feel a bit squashed. So there's a little adjustment you can do for the left arm, where you slide it out from underneath you. And you're resting more on the shoulder blade and less on the arm itself. And then if you've got a spare blanket or cushion, you can put out for your left hand to rest on. That can feel really good. Oops. And the extra pillow is to cuddle and something to rest your top arm on. And there's different ways this one can go, so it's very personal. See how it works for you. Anyone that's pregnant might need some padding also for the babies. You can put a blanket, something under the baby bumps. And once you've got all that settled and snuggled in, see if you can make your body ever so slightly rounded. So you're going for a slightly fetal position. So you might bend your knees up a little bit more. You might see, could you tuck your chin down a little bit? You curl your fingers in towards the palms of the hands. And let yourself start to settle. If you're not settling, if it's not comfortable, please remember this session is for you, and you don't have to do anything that doesn't feel nice. So this is my suggestion for our relaxation, but you might have an idea of something else that would feel much better, either an adjustment to this position or a completely different position altogether. So listen to your own instincts, your own inner wisdom, your own sense of what's right for you just now. And get yourself really comfortable. If you have something that you can cover your eyes with, or you can put a scarf or something across the side of your head to cover your eyes. If you have an eye pillow that you would normally use when you lie on your back, you can place that just on the right side of your neck. That can feel really lovely. And as we start to settle, we're going to do a little bit of yawning. And then begin to use that long exhale breathing, the one where we were breathing out through the softly parted lips. As if you were blowing through a straw. So don't worry too much about the inhalations, but focus on the exhalations, see if you can make them very soft and very fine. Letting the breath flow out through the lips. As if breathing out through a straw, or as if perhaps breathing out onto a candle on a birthday cake. Or perhaps more realistically onto a lot of candles on a birthday cake. So you've got to let this breath last. Blow out all the candles. And then you're gradually going to let this breathing get much softer and much finer. So if you were breathing on a candle, the flame would not go out. If you were breathing on a candle, the flame would not even flicker. So fine and so soft is this long exhalation. Now become aware of your whole body settling down into this supported position. The earth underneath you, support at your back. And you can imagine a cloak of protection lying at your back. You could feel it all the way from the soles of your feet, all the way up the backs of your legs, covering the whole length of your back, all the way up over your head. A cloak of protection at your back, keeping you safe. And perhaps with that feeling of safety comes a feeling of ease, and letting go. Feeling the muscles all around the body gently relaxing their grip on the bones. The eyes becoming soft. Cheeks heavy. Back teeth slightly parted. Jaw releasing. Shoulders letting go. With the sensation perhaps of having put down a heavy burden. Abdomen soft. And the muscles of the inner thighs letting go into the support between the knees and the ankles. And even in the soles of the feet, it's like the muscles in the soles of the feet are slightly yawning or sighing and finding ease. Even the little spaces in between the toes. Whole body finding ease. And the breath now just natural, soft and easy, effortless, arriving and departing like waves rolling up and down a beach with no effort. And now imagine again a candle flame, or if you prefer just a light, a point of light. Pour all of your attention into that light. So that light becomes symbolic of your mind's awareness, your loving attention. And now allow that light to move around the body as it rests, beginning on the forehead, resting the light of your awareness on the forehead between the eyebrows. And now dropping down to the base of the throat and out into the left shoulder and all the way down the left arm, through the elbow and the wrist, into the back of the hand, onto the thumb and each of the fingers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now the palm of the left hand, and back up through the wrist and the elbow and the shoulder, returning onto the midline of the body at the base of the throat. And now let that light move into the right shoulder and all the way down the right arm, through the elbow and the wrist, into the back of the hands, into the thumb and each of the fingers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The palm of the right hand, and then back up through the wrist and the elbow and the shoulder. Back across to the base of the throat. And now let the light move down the center line of the body, from the base of the throat, down and into the space behind the breastbone. And from here, it's as if you could shine the light of your attention over into the left side of the chest, then back to the center, and over into the right side of the chest. Back to the center, and then down and into the space behind the belly button, in the center of the abdomen. And down and in to the space behind the pubic bones, in the center of the pelvis. And now send the light into the left hip and all the way down the left leg, through the knee and the ankle, to the top of the foot and each of the toes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In through the sole of the left foot and back up, through the left ankle and the knee and the hip. Back onto the midline in the center of the pelvis. And now out into the right hip and all the way down the right leg, through the knee and the ankle, to the top of the foot, and each of the toes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In through the sole of the right foot and back up, through the ankle and the knee and the hip. Returning onto the midline of the body, in the center of the pelvis, and let the light of your attention rest there a little while. So that the whole of the bowl of the pelvis, the whole of the pelvic space, may be filled with the light of your loving attention. The whole pelvic space filled with light. Now moving the awareness up and into the space behind the belly button, the center of the abdomen. And letting the awareness rest here a little while, here in the abdominal space, the barrel of the abdomen, allowing the whole of the abdominal space to be filled with the light of loving awareness. The whole abdominal space filled with light. And now moving the awareness up and into the space behind the breastbone, the center of the chest, the heart space. And resting here a little while, allowing the whole of the heart space to be filled with the light of loving awareness. This whole wide, almost infinite space, the depth of the heart. Filled with light. And now bring awareness back to the base of the throat and up onto the forehead. And now all the way up onto the top of the head. And from here be aware of the whole body as one. The whole body, all together, all the way through the whole body, filled with the light of loving awareness. Whole body pulsating with light and with life. With nothing to do and no one to please, nothing to learn or to prove, nothing to be achieved. Just being. Just breathing. With absolutely no effort at all. And just like the waves moving up and down over the sands will leave the beach smooth and clear and clean. Perhaps in the same way now the breath flowing in and flowing out might have a similar effect to smooth our ruffled feathers. To soothe and to soften. Welcoming now the sound of the bell and all the other sounds where you are. What is it that you hear nearby, in the room around you, and further away around the building or in the world outside? Listen for the furthest away sound. And now listen in for the sound of your breath and fill your body with breath. Allow your breath to lengthen and to deepen. And allowing your breath to become more noisy, maybe yawning or sighing. Paying attention now to what you can feel, feeling the position that you're in and the support of your cushions and blankets underneath you, behind you, all around you. Welcome their texture and welcome the touch sensation of your breath. Sensation in the nostrils or sensation deep down inside the body as you deeply inhale now. Connect with your senses of smell and taste. You can lick your lips or run your tongue along your teeth. And you might gently blink your eyes and just see about letting them open up, welcoming in some light. And then yawning and stretching, wriggling, seeing what's needed in order to feel more awake and aware and alert and ready to complete this practice. Yawning, stretching, sighing. You might like to circle your ankles or circle your wrists, stretching through your fingers, stretching through your toes. And I'd like to complete this practice today with a little bit more humming, a more formal practice of Brahm Marine, a humming bee breath. And I'm going to show you a seated version with a hand gesture. But if it makes more sense for you right now to stay lying down, do a little bit of humming lying down to help you feel a bit more alert and aware, then it's fine to do this practice lying down. Because it's just very simple humming, as we did earlier, but with a little bit of an action. So let me just show you the action and then I'll do it with the hum. So you start with the hands together in the center of the chest. And then while you're humming, so on your exhalation, if you prefer, you can do this action just with a normal long exhalation. But while you're humming, you slide your hands over your face. Now, I'm not touching my face. I'm a few inches from my face at the moment. And it's like you're circling your head all the way around. And then as you inhale, you're going to take your arms out. And exhale, bring the hands back in to the center of the chest. So we're going to do 3 like that, but humming on the exhalation. And in a moment, we're going to do another 3 rounds of humming. And you can do the same thing again. Or this time, you might like to actually touch your face, up to you, as you slide your hands over your head, massage the back of your head, and you end up with your hands over your ears. So you can block your ears and close your eyes and complete your humming in that position. And you leave your eyes closed and your hands over your ears for your second hum and your third hum. And then you inhale, exhale, bring your hands back to your heart. And when you're finished, or if you don't like it, but you get fed up, you just bring your hands back down into your lap. So we'll do it together. Bring the palms of your hands together into the center of your chest. Bow your head. Curl your lips into a smile. Namaste.